This is WBSM On Demand.
Good morning. Good morning. Beautiful day out there. I think we're going to have 4 years of beautiful days, personally. Now, I have to tell you that I'm really disappointed in some of my liberal friends who are really exaggerating. I'm not sure if they're doing it for attention, if they're doing it for like a look at me moment, or if they really think that their life is going to change dramatically for the worse because the Republicans have power. It's such a ridiculous, it really is such a ridiculous take on the elections. You know, Joe Biden had a conversation with President-elect Donald Trump yesterday. I mean, again, I don't like to see people going through mental contortions because they lost an election. I've lost plenty of elections, my side. And many of you in the audience have been on the wrong side of the election, right? And you just let it go, right? Folks, unless you're on the ballot, nothing's going to change about your life, really. I mean, now, what have we seen so far from the Trump administration, the incoming Trump administration? I think it looks pretty good. I do. I think it looks pretty good. Now, I think our own governor is really acting childish. And I think all of us who supported Donald Trump need to reach out to the governor and tell her to relax. It's not going to be that bad. In fact, it's probably going to be better. It's likely going to be better because the Democrats in Massachusetts can't get out of their own way on the illegal immigration. And they just keep spending Massachusetts taxpayers' money, stuff that we want to use for our own needs, right? We want to shore up our hospital system. We want to give home health aids to people that need them. We have special education programs that need money, right? We have lots of things Americans need money for. And we in the Commonwealth have made a decision to support. And a lot of those programs have been underfunded and in jeopardy because of the migrants. So really the Democrats ought to celebrate that America is finally handing the migrant crisis to a man who can handle it. Right? 508-996-0500. Folks, Governor Healey is now going to use additional resources of the state of Massachusetts to combat the agenda that we elected, Donald Trump and his team. It's really outrageous. She said somewhere yesterday she's not going to allow the Massachusetts State Police to assist in helping clean out the illegal aliens, which is going to start with criminals. She's going to prevent the Massachusetts State Police from aiding in making our communities safer. Think about that. That's insanity. She has state police protection round the clock. They drive her, and by the way, I think she should. But since she was the Attorney General, she's had state police protection. And she's going to deny that to the rest of us? Obviously, she has no fear of illegal aliens. She has state police. Now she's going to use her authority, an authority we gave her. Many of you voted for her, right? And she's going to use that authority to deny state police protection on the matter of illegal immigrants, criminal illegal aliens. She lost her mind. Absolutely lost her mind. 508-996-0500. You're going to hear more about that as the weeks go on. Folks, Donald Trump has a very reasonable plan. They're going to get rid of the criminal migrants. And then the people who aren't working, young, able-bodied men who are here who don't work. They got to go. In fact, if I knew one, I would tell him, go down and surrender. Get out. Right? Get out and come the right way. The free ride is over. The idea, and look, the idea that you can come to Massachusetts and rape a citizen, murder a citizen, rob somebody as an illegal invader, and the fact that our governor, Maura Healey, is saying she's going to deny state police involvement in helping clean out the migrants, the criminal migrants, the layabouts, the ones who are taking advantage. Folks, this is absolutely unbelievable. 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hey, Chris. What's going on, man?
You tell me.
So, yeah, I know a lot of liberals and a lot of progressives out there that live here in Massachusetts, and they love the social programs, and they want to help a lot of poor individuals, people that need a hand up and a handout. They want to fix everybody's health care. They want to provide health insurance. They want to provide food. They want to provide housing. And it's the illegal immigrants that are siphoning the money that comes out of your paycheck. Today's Friday, guys. Look at your check and look how much the state of Massachusetts took out of your check. And when you look at that number, know that if you are a progressive Democrat, some of that money is not going to the social programs you want to strengthen. Some of that money is going to an illegal migrant that is taking up housing, getting food. So that could go to help an elderly person, a poor person in New Bedford, in the South End, in the North End, wherever. It's hurting your own programs that you advocate for. So the fact that Maura Healey doesn't want to help Donald Trump get rid of that, and we know they're not going to get a tax break from this, right? If, we get rid of the illegal immigrants and the money that's going toward them, we're not going to get that money back in our check. That's going to go to a social program, which is what progressive Democrats want.
Right.
So be on the side of Donald Trump here. Get rid of the illegal migrants, then you can reallocate that money to the very social programs that you want to embolden and strengthen and grow. It's basic common sense. Donald Trump is trying to actually help you as a Massachusetts taxpayer.
Right.
It boggles my mind that Maura Healey is like, no, you know what? We'd rather keep feeding these people. And, tell the poor kid in Roxbury or Brockton, sorry, we can't expand your a food stamp program or a free food program in your schools. We can't do any more of that because this guy crossed the border, and I want to just stick it to a person just because I don't like his personality. It doesn't make any sense. If you're really truly a progressive, you should be on the side of Donald Trump in this aspect because it'll help you achieve the programs that you want to achieve.
It is. Look, and thanks for the call, my friend, as always. It is bizarre to me that people don't understand that you can't spend a dollar twice, right? You can't spend a dollar twice. So there are all kinds of very worthy programs, right? Very needy people, our own citizens, And now many of them have had programs cut back in ways. Remember, there was a story in the Boston Globe that home health care people were being cut back. So if you're a disabled person or have special needs, you're entitled to a home health care aid to help with a lot of stuff. And the governor made a decision she was going to cut that back. Now, due to pressure, she acquiesced, but that was her goal, was to cut back on services for American citizens, veterans, people who are not veterans but who've worked their whole life, paid into the system, and even if they haven't really, they're Massachusetts citizens. She was going to cut back on that to keep funneling money to the migrants. Right? I mean, it's really outrageous. You should call the governor's office. Tell her. Elections have consequences, right? Donald Trump needs help. We all need help. 508-996-05. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. I listen to you a lot, and normally I don't disagree with you, but you said one thing this morning that I want to disagree with, and that was the fact that you said that, we wake up and, an election is done, and no matter who wins the race, your life's going to go on, and, nothing changes, you still. But, the fact of the matter is, Chris, everything, it does affect us. It affected me in 2020 when I was, out there, doing everything I could for Donald Trump to get him elected. I knew then what my life would be like if he didn't win the race in 2020. And I had these suspicions and all these, and as well as a lot of other people alongside of me. We all felt that if Donald Trump didn't win, that we were going to lose, the price, the cost of living was going to go up, the immigration, all these things that did happen.
Yes.
To my point. These things happened to us. So yeah, we did get affected, all of us, not just the people that stood out and made a statement about it and feared that,
right?
But everybody else as well. So yeah, I think we were affected by that, and now that Donald Trump has been elected again, not a whole lot I think is going to change right away, unless we could all come together under Donald Trump. And now this is where the difficulty begins.
Yes,
I think, because if I know you've seen a lot of the stuff that's being put out there right now, especially by some of these, and I'm going to just flat out say it, some of these lunatics that think the world is going to end because Donald Trump was elected.
Right.
There's some people out there that they're just flat out crazy.
Well, those are really the people I was addressing it to, because obviously elections have consequences. We know that. But yeah, there are people who are really unhinged, including our governor.
Yeah, but I think if we could pause, and you know what, I went to bed, and I'm going to say this. This might sound a little unhinged. I maybe not. It's really not unhinged. It might be a little far fetched. But I went to bed Wednesday morning at about 3:30 after the president's elect speech. I had one fantasy, honestly. I laid in bed trying to go to sleep, but I was fantasizing that Donald Trump would be able to do one thing that he made a promise on. And he made a promise in his campaign that he would be able to stop the war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. And he said he was going to do it within 24 hours. He said he'd do it at least before his inauguration.
Okay.
Well, do you know that I honestly think if he's able to succeed in that he might turn some heads, possibly turn enough heads to make people think that, yes, this man has the right vision. He has the power and the wherewithal to be able to make world leaders listen to him and possibly bring peace to the world. And maybe get things done in the country if he's left to be able to do these things. He's got to have the support of the country. Got to have support of everybody, from not just I think support of the media. That's where it has to begin. If he can get the media to support him and just let the people know that he's trying to do a job instead of constantly going after him, because he's not going to get a job done if he's being attacked every single day as he was during his first term.
I agree with you. I would say that the far left obviously is going to do what they're going to do. But the mainstream Democrats have to recognize that what is happening in the Ukraine is outrageous, obviously. It's the Russians' fault, but don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, and don't set up artificial standards that nobody can meet. In other words, they've got to end that war over there. And it's obvious that Russia is going to get some additional territory. Is that right? No. But people have to stop dying. The murderous war is so horrible. I can't imagine living under those conditions.
They're they're trying to make some headway over there right now, and I'm just wondering if some of these there's talk about things happening in the Middle East. I haven't really heard much of the news comments, but there's talk around the globe right now, and I'm just wondering if just because Donald Trump was elected, if some of these world leaders were just waiting for this time, now they're going to start making some moves, and maybe some things will happen.
I hope so, my friend. Thanks for the call, and I appreciate you joining the program here. Folks, we're going to get some bunch of people on hold. Hold on here. And we're going to take a very quick break, and then we'll be right back. If you're on hold, stay there. I do want to speak with you. Kind of open phones this morning. We're talking about the election, obviously. And in the next hour, we're going to have John Deaton, who ran for U.S. Senate. He was a Republican nominee. He's going to give us a call. And then we'll have Will Sennett at 11 o'clock talking about the state rep race that appears to be declared for Ouellette, but I think Chris Thrasher is asking for a recount, the Republican candidate. So we'll watch that very closely. Take a break. We'll be right back. For the phones. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning.
How you doing?
You know, Malcolm X was right way back then. The white liberal is the worst enemy to the America and to the worst enemy to the black man. That's his quote back then. And he's kind of right if you look into it, because all these migrants are taking jobs away from Americans.
Yes.
And they're taking money away from Americans, poor Americans. And she doesn't realize this. What happened? Remember what happened? Was it Roxbury, the center over there?
Yes. Yep.
See, that's a perfect example. And I don't know. Can we recall this woman? Is that in the law in Massachusetts?
No, we don't have a recall, but she'll be up in just 2 years.
Yeah, well, she can do a lot of damage.
Oh, no, there's absolutely, that's true. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing I want to bring up, 8th Bristol there.
Yes.
Man, there was a lot of candidates there.
Oh, yeah.
To vote for. I mean, it was good. It was Jesse St. Gelais. I thought he was great. But, man, this Chris Thrasher, I never really heard of him. And he got up there. I heard him on your radio station, and I'm like, and he was a writer. How the heck did this guy pull this off?
So
it's great on his part. I know he got a good endorsement.
Yes, but he's a really talented, experienced political operative. He's worked all over the country on political campaigns, coming from the libertarian side. He's an attorney. He recently became an attorney, really. And so he's a very experienced, I would call like a political mechanic, someone who really understands electioneering and all of that. And other people were telling Jesse St. Gelais that he should become a Republican write-in at the ballot time, but he decided not to. And there was so that was the opening for Thrasher. And he took full advantage of it because he wasn't really a Republican. He is now. And I think, obviously, he's the odds-on favorite should he decide to do it again to run against Ouellette, because it's only 2 years. But he may prevail in the recount.
Right, he may. And he worked for John F. Kennedy Jr. in his campaign.
Bobby Kennedy.
Bobby Kennedy. Yes. Yeah, there's so many of them.
Well, there's a couple less than there used to be, but anyway.
Yeah, I know. You get the names. So that's the other. I wonder where young Kennedy, John, is off to. Is he? I hope he runs again. I liked him. He did good in.
You're talking about Joe Kennedy. He was around. Yeah, he was around for the Democrats this time around.
Yeah. But I really think the next guy is going to be in. The senator is really going to be next Senator Auchincloss. I think he's got a shot.
I like Jake a lot. He was a Marine. He's a squared away guy. I think he's very good on national security. Jake Auchincloss I can have him on the program anytime. His staff's very good. Maybe I'll get him on in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, hope so. He seems okay, but we need a good Republican. We need to change this state around, and it's little by little. If you notice, South Coast, especially if you look, the major cities, the big cities, Boston, of course, down the Cape, all voted Democrat. But if you look down, a lot is either was for Trump, or if Trump lost, he didn't lose by much. So we're getting close.
No, we're getting a lot closer. Bristol County and Plymouth County were all for Trump. And like John Deaton, who'll be on with me in the next hour, John Deaton did very well throughout South Coast. Won Dartmouth, won Fairhaven, he won Freetown. He really did very well against Liz Warren.
I think the money wasn't there. I think the Bitcoin people didn't give him the money like he was supposed to. And I think he got screwed on that part. Obviously the campaigns, you need the money to run. And I think the Bitcoin, whatever connection he has, didn't fund him, and it's too bad.
Well, he had more money than a lot of people suspected he would, and again, he did a lot better than a lot of people thought. So I think keep an eye on John Deaton. I would hope that he'll make another run at whatever it is.
I hope so too. All right,
my friend. Thanks for the call. Don't be a stranger. 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thank you for holding.
Hey, Chris. I'm the guy that's responsible for putting the Trump and Jussie signs on the Kushner.
No, I know you did an amazing job out there, Paul. Amazing.
Yeah, and I want to tell you that I think one of the reasons why Trump won is because there were so many volunteers who kept their eyes and ears open that made it a fair election. And people are not seeing it that way, but I think that was very important.
Paul, I agree with you. I was talking about it yesterday. I mean, we've been on the New Bedford Elections Commission. Some of them thought it was unfair, but we've been on them for years now. And they got together and they did a lot of new training and updated stuff. And it was a flawless election. And it was because you're right, the public was paying attention.
Yeah. And I was actually surprised that a Christian had the 73% because I've knocked on hundreds of doors. And do you know how many negative responses that I got? 3. Only 3. That should have been like high 80s.
So you think, a Christian, this area is saturated with machine Democrats. It just is. And
that's true.
It takes a long time to change your patterns, right? Think how long it takes people to get sober, right? I mean, and then they tell you how many. I mean, I think we need a couple more elections of voting pro-America before everybody finally can be declared sober, right?
Right. And one other thing, we have Ava Gonsalves listening all the time now, so that's a good thing, right?
She's good. She's great. Get over to the red room and get your hair done.
Yeah.
The Ruby Room, Ruby Room.
You're doing a great job. Take care.
Thanks, Paul, my friend. 508-996-0500. Let's go back to the phones. We've built a lot of listeners here, and I do appreciate that. Everybody who listens. Remember, I always say this: if you're out in public and I'm out in public, and you see me or somebody tells you that's me, please come up and say hello, because I love to meet everybody out there. It always it really feels good, and I really appreciate everybody who's made this program the success it is. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Morning, Chris.
What's happening?
Some really good calls this morning, really good points. 2 points I want to make. I want to make them real quick.
Sure.
I want to make sure that people pay attention and make sure coming up here that there's going to be a number of programs cut out of senior citizens. They weren't fully funded here in the Bristol County, and we're going to try to make a big push to get some type of supplemental, get those programs reinstated, because the seniors are the people who have been here a long time and paid their taxes, and people who require, Meals on Wheels or something like that shouldn't have to stand in line with illegal immigrants or money going to that area instead of taking care of our seniors. And that's going to be a problem coming up here in the South Coast really quick if we don't get the supplemental budget to put those programs back in place. The other thing is that caller that talked about, I mean, I admire his hope about, folks trying to be brought together. But I got to tell you, I listened to Granny Warren this morning. I saw a clip, and now Maura Healey's going to use, tell the state police that they're not going to, do their job and work with ICE to get rid of illegal criminals. I just don't understand. Can I pick and choose what laws I follow, Chris?
You cannot, sir.
No, and is there going to be a penalty if I break the law for a Jewish citizen like me?
So I would say this, that, first of all, it offends me, and I don't normally use that word. I find it kind of effeminate. But
it's a very good word.
It does offend me, though, that she's going to use tax dollars on fighting the President of the United States. She did it during her time as the Attorney General and spent a lot of money and a lot of time, and look what the result was. We're in a state of emergency. We're in a state of emergency because of the illegal migrants. It's amazing.
The leadership, you're supposed to be a leader. We talk about people, they talk about President Trump, he divides people. You don't have to look any further than the governor of Massachusetts and the senator, who the first thing they come out with when he was elected on how they're going to fight and divide.
Yes. That's why it is so important that the right man or woman become the U.S. attorney for Massachusetts. And that's going to require Senate confirmation. So I'm going to keep you guys informed on this because there's no stronger grassroots team than this audience about lobbying our senators and the U.S. Senate to approve whoever Donald Trump, President Trump, appoints U.S. attorney, because they'll be the federal prosecutor that can force the governor to go along with it.
Excellent. And hopefully we can pay attention to what senior programs are going to be cut out of Bristol County here real quick, and maybe we can help get that reinstated as well.
Listen, absolutely we can. What I need to do is have a commitment from you, and I know you'll make it, that you'll keep us informed on that and tell us what we need to do. Because, again, I know that Senator Montigny and the rest of the legislative delegation is going to do that. Those guys have come in here to tell us that the migrant program is unsustainable, right? So, listen, they're not going to say it, but a lot of them are happy that now Donald Trump is going to reverse what has happened with the migration program. He's going to reverse it, and that'll take a lot of pressure off of them because they've been funding all of this. 508-996-0500. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Chris.
What's happening?
Not much. On this immigration thing, I don't know. I haven't been anybody, I don't care what party they're in, that's not for deporting violent, immigrant criminals. But it was fascinating the other day. I can't remember what show I was listening to. They had a former head of ICE in Massachusetts, and this was when they could deport people a little bit easier. But his point was people don't realize how much it costs and how long it takes just to deport one illegal immigrant.
I think it was Bob McConnell here on this program.
It could have been.
Yes.
And he was talking about it takes well over a year just to get them through the process. And then it costs like $30,000 or $40,000 because they have to have ICE involved. They have to have the state police involved, sometimes the FBI involved. So, my opinion is if I'm going to spend money on feeding them, housing them, I'd rather do it on getting rid of them. But it's not going to be as easy as it sounds.
Oh,
That's
no,
all
I
I'm
agree.
saying.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? That's one guy.
It is. Here's the thing. That is why it's so outrageous for the governor of Massachusetts to immediately stomp her feet and throw a temper tantrum and say, we're going to stop the state police from assisting the federal government in deporting criminal illegal aliens. It's so outrageous. Every person, from the most liberal Democrat to the most conservative Republican, any American should be outraged by the governor's statements.
Well, that's my point. Is I didn't vote for Trump, but I give him a chance. I mean, we don't even know how he's going to do it yet. I mean, I know what he wants to do, but let's see how he's going to go about doing it, and then evaluate. Does this make sense? Can we afford to do it? And so on and so forth. I don't know. Like I say, I'm totally for deporting these illegal immigrants that are criminals, but it's not gonna be easy. I mean, you're talking about one guy with that kind of money and everything else and going through the system. So
no.
Anyway, let's wait and see what happens. Right?
Thank you for the call, my friend. As always, don't be a stranger. The reality of it is that you're either with America or you're against it. If you're going to fight the results of this election, which was a major, major directional change, all delivered by the American people because they were outraged by the total collapse of a very reasonable immigration system that we had, right? People have to wait their turn. And the radicals took over the White House and they just threw it all away. And the damage that they did to this country, unprecedented. We've never lived in this time. Never. Now, Eisenhower, when he came home from Europe, General Eisenhower became the president, and he instituted a deportation scheme. I forget what it was called, but anyway, he actually, I don't. I just can't say it on the radio because I probably won't be here tomorrow if I did. So you can look it up, what Eisenhower called his deportation scheme, right? But it was very successful. That was because a lot of people had come into the country because the men and women, a lot of them, were overseas fighting the Nazis, right? And when they came home, there were a lot of migrants had taken their jobs, right? So Eisenhower wanted them out so Americans could have jobs. 508-9960. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Day to celebrate the Constitution by buying a gun. Shooting Supply has over 200 Smith & Wesson revolvers in stock, and they have all of them. Every one of those revolvers has a rebate up to $150 from Smith & Wesson. So the revolvers start at just $399 after the rebate. So early Black Friday deal on 9mm ammo at Shooting Supply. That's right on State Road in Westport. That's Route 6. Just $12.99 a box for 9mm ammo for the early Black Friday deal. Now, the next training class, if you don't have a gun license, what's wrong with you? What kind of an American are you? Head over to Shooting Supply and see Dawn, D-A-W-N, Dawn, a female over there at Shooting Supply, to register for the next training class. Next training class is November 19th. Shooting Supply. Go to shootingsupply.com, sign up for the preferred customer list, and get the best sales and specials in the entire area, delivered right to your inbox, including the great Black Friday specials. Shooting Supply in Westport, great sponsor of the program. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
Doing well.
You know, Maura Healey is making a big mistake. She better reconsider what she's saying.
I agree.
And open defiance of federal law. Now, she's not only going against Donald Trump, she's going against the American people and the law of the land and the Department of Homeland Security. This is a matter of national security.
Yes.
And if this is a political stunt that she's pulling, she's going to regret it. And then, like you're saying, back in August 2023, she declared a state of emergency. Our state's under martial law. And she went down to Tijuana with business cards telling them to come here, that this is the land of milk and honey. You can get whatever you want. You get whatever you want in a candy store. Now she's playing both stunts. She was backed by the radical left, and she's playing her communist card to tank the state and bring in chaos. She better reconsider that, because she's playing with national security. And the Department of Homeland Security is not going to lay down. Either she obeys the law of the land, if she's in defiance, then she's going to go against all the power of the federal government and the Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Marshals.
I agree with you. Remember, folks, 9/11 started here in Massachusetts. They left from Logan Airport on a one-way flight, right, to change America. And that is the type of stuff that really Donald Trump is trying to prevent.
And even the FBI is warning us about the threats from foreign countries hostile to the United States. And she's going to play political games. If this is political games, then she needs to tone it down and do her job.
I agree with you, my friend. And look, many of you voted for Maura Healey, okay, for governor. And she was the attorney general. She knows better, I would imagine. I hope anyway. But maybe she's that unbalanced. It's really, really, really strange. But I can tell you, folks, again, she can say whatever she wants, but she has to obey federal law. And we're going to get a new U.S. attorney. Now, I happen to like the current U.S. attorney, who really wasn't appointed by Biden. They put him in place because he was a career prosecutor up there. I met him. I interviewed him here on the program. I met him with District Attorney Tom Quinn. They were out at Whites of Westport. And Mr. Levy, Josh Levy, he's from Wayland, Mass. And he sat down and we talked for a little while. I thought he's a very squared away guy, and I even thought he was done a good job in the federal prosecutor's office, so as a U.S. attorney. But that's going to be a new appointee. It's going to be somebody appointed by Donald Trump, and they're going to have to enforce federal law. Now, the downside with Maura Healey taking this stand, do you realize that we are in full rebellion against the federal government on marijuana? You realize that, right? And there was a deal made in the first Trump administration that the U.S. attorney wasn't going to do anything about the marijuana stores in Massachusetts, right? He was not going to pay any attention to that. But we've built a huge industry here, whether you like it or not. There's a lot of capital, a lot of people employed in the marijuana industry. That is all against federal law. So if Maura Healey really wants to play games, do you understand that Donald Trump and his Justice Department could just start raiding the marijuana stores here in Massachusetts? Now, I would not like to see him do that. I don't think that would be a good move. But I'm just telling you, this governor is so vulnerable. She doesn't realize it. She just doesn't realize it. It's really incredible. Take a break. We'll be right back. And, many of you already know this, but Fred Toomey, who's really a great American resident of the city of New Bedford, longtime mayoral appointee to the vocational board up at New Bedford Voc, right? To the board of directors up there at New Bedford Voc, and just a great guy. His son, Sean, was a good friend of mine who passed away a few years ago. Really, really a sad loss with Sean, but also now a sad loss with Fred. His wake is tonight. Today it started at 3:00 at Saunders Funeral Home. So if you knew Fred Toomey, most of us did. Good guy, great family. His good friend Bruce Oliveira, hot score to Bruce and to the entire Toomey family here. Just great salt of the earth people. So if you knew Fred, if you knew his family, his wake is tonight at Saunders Funeral Home. It starts at 3:00. I expect it'll be lines out the door. But Fred was a great American, a veteran of the Navy. Just a great guy. Just a tremendous asset to the community. Lost. He raised a couple of great daughters and a great son, and all friends of mine and wonderful wife. And anyway, so the community is a loss for Fred. He was a great, friendly Sons of St. Patrick guy. Just a really great guy. And so his wake is today at 3:00 at Saunders Funeral Home. If you got an opportunity to swing by and say your condolences for Fred Toomey and to his family. So anyway, it's a loss, right? It's the grief is the tribute, right? That's the only way to look at it. The grief is the tribute. The election went my way. It didn't always go your way. I get that. But we're Americans. Let's get together and work for the next important thing, right? The next important thing is on the horizon, right? The next important thing for you personally is on the horizon. So the only thing to do, right, is to make lunch plans. Head over to the Profile Tavern in East Freetown, my hometown. Boy, Fridays at the Profile Tavern, you can't beat them, okay? Barbecue and cold beers, pizza and cocktails. The staff over there is fantastic. If you've never been to the Profile Tavern, today's a great day to head over there. They're open for lunch stay for dinner, right? In between, have a couple of drinks. Profile Tavern is right off Route 140 in East Freetown. The menu is amazing. The drinks are great. The beer is ice cold. The staff, they're really second to none, okay? Jay Lanigan runs a great place. You go to, you know you're in a Jay Lanigan place when you're having a good time, having great food, ice cold beer, just like the Profile Tavern offers, just like an American tavern should. If you haven't never been there, right off Route 140, just a hop, skip, and a jump from wherever you are. Really, it's a great place, great barbecue, great pizza, great cocktails. The Profile Tavern, they got all kinds of things on the menu. You never regret going to the Profile Tavern. Head right over to East Freetown. Enjoy the cold beer and barbecue. Profile Tavern. So, I may even be over there today. I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out yet. We're going to be joined by Will Sennett in the 11 o'clock hour. Will Sennett works for the New Bedford Light. I think the New Bedford Light does great work on in-depth stories. Will covers the waterfront. He's also covered some political races. We're going to talk about the 8th Bristol race with Will Sennett, which really I don't think has been settled yet. I believe Christopher Thrasher, as he should, is asking for a recount. He's got every right in the world for asking for a recount. I always appreciate when people go for a recount, play the game out, right? You got to play the game out. When it's a close race and democracy's on the line, you've got to play it out. So Chris Thrasher's asking for a recount. We're going to talk with Will Sennett about that in the 11 o'clock hour. Now, in the 10 o'clock hour, we're going to have a call from our Senate candidate, right? Republican nominee for Senate. He's going to give us a call, and we're going to talk with him about what his future plans are, right? So that'll be pretty interesting, I think, to have the Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate give us a call. And he lost to Elizabeth Warren. He lost the battle, and I guess ultimately the war, but the war's never over, right? It's only over when you say it's over. So we're going to ask this good Marine if he's going to come back again. Now, there's a lot of opportunities for him here in Massachusetts as a credible Republican who's done pretty well as an attorney. So John Deaton will be joining us in the next hour by phone, and we'll have John Deaton here to talk about what his future plans are, what he learned from being the Republican nominee. Remember, he bested a crowded field. So to get that nomination was no small accomplishment. So he won that first political battle. Now, then he lost to Granny Warren, but did he really lose? Sometimes you win by losing. The last person who, well, let's think about Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney ran against a liberal icon, Ted Kennedy, and a few years later, after losing, he came back to be the governor, triumphantly the governor, and then moved to Utah and became the U.S. Senator, right? So in the next hour, we'll be joined by attorney John